Hi everyone, I hope you are all well. So now we're going to go through my Christmas haul for 2019 and you're going to find out what's going to be happening in 2020 from my channel. So I didn't actually get any books for Christmas this year. So I had a really big wish list on Amazon, and I waited and I waited and I waited. It's basically been piling up since, because it had all my literature festival books that I wanted to buy, because I didn't buy any books at the literature festival. I was so proud of myself that I didn't, and I also had other books that I'd added onto it, and I waited and I waited and I waited because I wanted to see if I would get any like gift cards or anything for Christmas anyway, but I didn't. And then a load of the books on my wish list went into the Boxing Day sale. Yeah, and I actually bought more books in bulk than I have ever, and I mean it, ever done before. And I'm going to show you them. So I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible, but we'll just see how we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with the non-fiction. And the first non-fiction book that I have is Body Positive Power by Megan Jane Crabbe. Now, I've never read a body positivity book before, but I've seen various interviews that Megan has given. She's an activist. She looks at body positivity and everything, and she's written a book about it. And she came to the literature festival, and while I was at the festival, I was flicking through this book, and I found it really interesting. I myself have put on a lot of weight over the past couple of years. You can probably tell by my face, probably a bit chunkier than usual. But I just found it really interesting to have a book about body positivity, and I never would have thought of picking up a book about body positivity before, but I really like Megan. I think she's a really interesting lady, and the way that she looks at the world, it's great. So I really wanted to pick up a book, so I got Body Positive Power by Megan Jane Crabbe. Now, the next book, I think it's a little one, but I think it's really lovely and really important. And it's a book about Notre Dame by Ken Follett. Now, Ken Follett has written, basically, as you can see, it's a very small book. It only cost me like £4 or something, but it basically tells the history of the Notre Dame Cathedral. And what is absolutely wonderful this is, as it says on the bottom, 100% of the royalties of this goes to the charity to restore Notre Dame following the fire which took place. This was written and published after the fire. Is in order to tell the history, to help with the restoration. And because it's Ken Follett, and I wanted to read more about cathedrals, that I'm thinking of writing a piece that has cathedrals and such in it. And when you do writing, you've got to research the heck out of it. So I wanted to get this not only to help with bit of donation to help restore Notre Dame, but to learn its history as well. And it's only a little book, so I would encourage anybody, if you want to do something to help, buy this book, and you can help that way. So it's Ken Follett's Notre Dame. Now, the next one I've gotten because it was featured in an Audible original, which I absolutely loved, which was Stephen Fry's Victorian Secrets. There was an episode about asylums, and he refers to this book, which I'm pretty sure it was the author is also interviewed as part of that episode. It's called Mad, Bad and Sad. A history of women and the mind doctors from the 1800s to the present, by a lady called Lisa. I'm not sure how to pronounce her surname, as you can see. That's her surname there. But this, she specifically looks at how women were treated through asylums and such from the 1800s onwards. And I loved that concept. I've been picking this up so many times in Waterstones since I have listened to that Audible original, but I've never bought it. And it went into the sale, so I bought it. So I'm very excited for that. Then the next one, I suppose, is a bit more of a well, not controversial, but, you know, a bit of an awkward one, but I don't care. It's Period by Emma Barnett, or also called It's About Bloody Time. Basically, Emma got really frustrated that we don't talk about periods, we don't talk about women's menstrual cycles and such. Why don't we do it? Even amongst other women, we feel a bit awkward talking about situations that we're going through, any conditions that we may have, and being one of the pot of women in that conditions thing. I totally, yeah, it's frustrating that there's not necessarily somebody that you can talk to about it. And this book, she's basically going, right, let's talk about it, and goes through all of these different things to do with women's menstrual cycles and everything. And as somebody says here, why has it taken so long for this powerful, fearless book to be written? Well, you know, times are changing. We're more open to talk about various things in society, so we need to talk about periods. So and again, Emma was at the literature festival. I wasn't able to go to her event, but I was really excited, and I kept on flicking through this book in the book tent, and I got it in the sale, so I'm really excited to read Period. And my last non-fiction book is one that I've been picking up, and I haven't bought it, but I feel like I really want to read it. I really, really want to read it at the moment. And that is Bailey Gifford Prize for Non-Fiction winner 2019. It's TheFive by Hilly Rubenhold. So this is the 5 women who we know for certain was killed by Jack the Ripper, because there are women who were killed that is not known for certain, but the 5 that he claimed, as it were, in letters and everything. This book basically tells their life stories. Everybody focuses on their deaths, and we know that obviously that they were prostitutes, but we don't know anything about their lives. And here Haley has gone through and discovered all of their backstories and written about them and brought to life this amazing thing. I mean, the one that really gets me is this stunning photo right here of this very elegant middle-class lady with her husband, looking, you know, just having their photo taken. That was actually Annie Chapman at the time of her wedding in May 1869, and there was a terrible, various things that happened which caused her to go to London and ended up on the streets of London, and just so happened came into contact with Jack the Ripper, and she was one of his victims. So as you can see, I looked at that picture and I'm like, how on earth did you get from there to being a victim of Jack the Ripper? And that's what Haley wanted to find out, and she has put together this book that tells the stories of these 5 women as women and telling their life story, not their death story. And I just adored that concept, and it's won so many awards. It's got great critical acclaim. I had to get hold of a copy. So that's TheFive. Okay, so that's the non-fiction. Here we go into the fiction. So I've got a real mixture of stuff here. One of them is actually a play, so I'm going to start with that one first because that's very different from the others. I don't know if I'd necessarily review it on this channel, but I would definitely, just because it's a play, it's very different from, but we'll see. I'll turn to how I feel. But that play is Fleabag by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I absolutely love the TV series Fleabag. I've not had a chance to see it on stage, but I'd like to, if possible, if it comes around near my area, where I live. But I know that there are slight differences between the stage version and the TV version. Of course, the stage version, it's just a one-woman show, but even then there's certain events that get discussed which is slightly different from the TV one, and I want to find out what that is. And it's being published as a book. This is the special edition version, which I think is special edition because it's got extra interview or something and that with Phoebe in it. But yeah, I wanted to get hold of a copy and read it myself. So that's a screenplay for Fleabag. Now, okay, all the rest are just fiction books, so I'll go through them one by one. So the first one I'm really excited to read is The Doll Factory by Elizabeth McNeil. Now, I saw Elizabeth at the Literature Festival. She had a shared event with somebody else who I will be mentioning in my next video. And I had seen this book like everywhere, like ridiculously everywhere, but I had never picked it up, and I didn't know what it was that wasn't making me pick it up. But I wondered if it was, this is probably weird to say, a beautiful cover obviously is there to make you pick it up. I think I was marveling at the cover. I was just like, wow, because there's so much to it going on. That I was marvelling so much at the picture and not picking up the book. But I went to Elizabeth's event at the Literature Festival, and she was talking about how it's a story about a girl who works at a doll maker's, but in her spare time she loves to paint, and she comes into contact with the pre-Raphaelites, the painters, and it's all to do with her life being blended with theirs and everything, and various people that she meets along the way. And the way that she talked about her story and the construction and what she did and everything, I found it so interesting. And the writer kind of side of me totally understood certain things that she was talking about, and it just really encouraged me. I love the concept of the story that she was talking about, but also because the way that she was talking from a writer's perspective, it really encouraged me to want to read her book. So I bought it. It worked. Now, the next few, let's do the next 5, are classics. So I'm going to very quickly run through them. So we've got the very short Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde. Never read it before, but I absolutely adore the film for the 1930s, which I've mentioned on this channel before. And it was just there for like £3, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go for that. The next one is one that my mum kind of triggered me to get, and that is A Kestrel for a Knave by Barry Hines. This is a book that my mum actually bought my nephew for Christmas this year. She was about the same age as he was as he is now, when she read it. So yeah, and I knew the kind of the concept, because it's the film Kes is what this book is adapted and sorry, no, get my words right way around. This book was adapted into the film Kes, and I knew the outline of Kes and I knew the ending, because it's kind of one of those things that everybody kind of knows the ending, but I don't know what fills in between and everything. And we watched this documentary that Greg Davies made recently. It was back in November for the BBC, where he talks about this book and why it's so special to him, and it's a wonderful documentary, and I just really fell for the story in seeing that documentary, so I had to buy it. The next one I kind of went on a chance, and that is I Capture the Castle. Every time this gets brought up anywhere, and it's on my top 100 bucket list poster, it said, oh my god, it's the most amazing coming of age story. Oh, it's astonishing. You have to read it, have to read it, have to read it. And it's always kind of there in my mind. I've got the radio drama on my Audible wish list, and whenever I'm going through my wish list and I'm choosing what to buy with my credit that I get from my membership, I come across that and I stop and I pause for a while and I go, no, I'm going to choose something else. What is making me pause? What is it that is about this story that is obviously making me focus on it without actually reading it? And I was like, right, that's enough. I'm going to read it. It's in the sale. So I bought I Capture the Castle. And the other two classics are The Turn of the Screw by Henry James and Perfume by A Story of a Murderer by Patrick Suskind. I hope I've said that correctly. If I didn't, I apologise. Perfume, you could say, is not really a classic, but it is at the same time, because of the way that it's kind of looked at in the world of literature, how it was reviewed and everything. So The Turn of the Screw is actually coming out in 2020 as a film. I saw the trailer and I thought, what the heck have they done to this story? It's a ghost story where the trailer doesn't mention ghosts, and there's weird things that happen. And I think Finn Wolfhard, who plays the character Miles, is too old, that kind of thing. And I was like, right, I want to reread the book, because I read the book originally when I was about 13, 14. It was in like a collection of stories from other authors that we had to read as part of our compulsory reading in school. And yeah, I'm like, you know what, I haven't read it in like 20 years. Why don't we give it a go? So I got hold of a copy. And yeah, Perfume tells the story of a man who wants to collect, he's obsessed with scent, and he wants to collect the scent of the last moment of life before death from people. So he starts killing people to collect their scent to create this ultimate perfume. And yeah, it's so dark and so odd and quirky, and I'm kind of going, you know what, I think this is something that I'm actually really sounds so horrendous and horrible and sinister. I'm gonna love it. So so I got a copy of Perfume. Okay, we're nearly there, guys. So next we have Girl with Pearl Earring. Now, this is a book. I love the film. I really like the film. I never got around to reading the book, and I thought, you know what? Why don't we actually give this a go? I mean, this is the 20th anniversary edition, as it says up there in the corner, with introduction from the author. Why don't I give it a go? I really liked like The Miniaturist, which is set in the same location around the same time. Why not? So yeah, that's my why not buy. Then I've got a couple which were recommended from the Facebook book club that I'm a member of. The first is The Glass Woman by Caroline Leah. Now, I've not read any Caroline's books. I really didn't know what to expect. It's set in 1686 in Ireland, and I don't know what it is about this book, but whenever I've seen it come across Iceland, sorry, not Ireland. Why did I say Ireland? Whenever I've come across people talking about this on the Facebook book group, it's been really quite positive. When I say quite positive, that sounds weird. It has been positive, but it's been, in a way, kind of like one of those books where people have gone, that is going to stay with me. You can feel like a chill, as it were, through the comments of people. So as an Icelandic Jane Eyre, and how evocative and crackles with tension, just for the look of that, it feels cold, and something's drawing me to that, and I don't know what it is. So I was like, you know what, let's give it a go. And the other one recommended from a Facebook book group, because every time I come across it, people are absolutely raving about it, and I'm actually really quite intrigued to read it. And that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, or Evelyn, depending on how you say it, whichever country you're in, by Taylor Jenkins Reid, about a Hollywood actress who is basically telling her life story to a reporter, and revealing loads of stuff about her past and the connection that she and the reporter may have. And I've been watching lots of glamour old Hollywood films of late, and I'm really feeling in that mood to kind of go into that kind of world, and to go through it via a fictional book. I think that's pretty cool, so I'm really looking forward to actually reading this. Okay, 6 more to go, guys, and then we're done. I know, as I said, this is more books I have bought in bulk than I ever have in my life. I am not joking. The next one is Elizabeth is Missing. Now, I got this because I watched the TV drama the BBC did recently, and I really liked the drama, but then at the same time, I just kept on thinking, on multiple occasions, I wonder if that's been changed from the book. I have a feeling there's something different there. Why isn't that part focused on is there more of a discussion about this part in the book than there is in this drama? There's something I feel that there's going to be different in the book, and I want to know what that is. So the only way I'm going to find out that answer is if I read the book. So yes. So we've got a copy of Elizabeth is Missing. Very interesting concept as well, I forgot to say. Now, the next book I kind of bought on a whim. I wanted to read like a crime thriller-esque thing, and I saw that the film trailer for this, because this is coming out as a film in 2020, and I thought the concept was quite interesting, so I thought, it's in the sale, why not go for it? And that is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, a book about a woman who's agoraphobic, and she becomes friends with the wife of somebody, a neighbour from across the way, as it were, at the building kind of opposite her. And one night she sees her friend kind of being attacked, and when she looks into it, the wife who gets presented to her as being totally fine is actually a completely different woman, and it's all this mystery of what actually happened. What did she actually see? It kind of reminds me of Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock. That's a really good movie, and you know, that kind of strange, twisted kind of stuff. And I just thought, you know what? It's in the sale. Like I said, I've fancied something like a crime thriller, like I kind of like to read at this time of year. Why don't we go for it? So, The Woman in the Window. There. Then there is one book which has been bugging the heck out of me for years. And when I say bugging the heck out of me, it's just that it's always there in Waterstones, and I always debate if I should pick it up, and I always leave the bookshop without having picked it up. And quite frankly, I'm fed up of that, having that feeling. So I was like, oh, for God's sake, just buy it in the sale. So I did. It's The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have heard so many mixed reviews about this, but the fact that they've now brought out, you know, special editions, anniversary editions of this and everything, I just kind of feel like I'm gonna have yet another year of seeing it every time I go into a bookshop, and I'm just, you know, I'm sick of it. So let's just get on with it and go and buy The Night Circus. Okay, final 3, guys. An Irvine Welsh book which I was recommended by somebody who watched one of my review videos. I can't remember who it is. I do apologise. Who suggested this. And I have bought the book that they suggested, and that is The Bedroom Secrets of the Master Chefs. So this is set in Edinburgh's Department of Environmental Health. And follows various mysteries and such, and the way in which it's been reviewed on the back of this book, it's just, yeah, Bedroom Secrets flickers with the dynamism, black humour and imaginative bravado that is Welsh at his best. So you know how I like Irvine Welsh, and can't be darker than filth. But I don't know. Let's find out. Let's read The Bedroom Secrets of the Master Chefs. Final 2, guys. So the next one is a very interesting buy, because at the Cheltenham Literature Festival, amongst the panel, because there was a panel called They Fuck You Up, the Worst Parents in Literature History. Each member of this panel had to bring a book that they feel portrays the worst parent in history, in history of literature. And we, as the audience, got to vote on who was worse. And this was the book that actually came first for the worst parents, and that is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Akibi. Again, I probably butchered that, and I'm very, very sorry if I have. I found the way in which the guy who was presenting this book was so interesting and evocative, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to look into this. It's not a big book at all, but it's set in West Africa, and follows this warrior leader of this kind of tribe, as it were, who was a god-awful person and a terrible father, as was voted at the Cheltenham Literature Festival this year. So I felt like I have to get it, so I got it. And the last book I specifically left for last because this was a book, I went to an event about dystopian novels, and it was a bunch of schools throughout Cheltenham had each read a different dystopian novel, and they had one of the class who was nominated to stand up at the literature festival, give a talk about it, and present it to this panel, and then they voted on whose was the best. And the boy who did this book, he came, he was among the top three, but they didn't say the specific order of who won. It was just like, these are the top three that they have to pick from, and number one was crowned. So he didn't win, but the way that he talked about this book, and he talked about the concept of the book and everything, I absolutely loved it. And it was the one book out of all of them, I think there was about 7 of them in total, out of all of them, this was the one book that I really wanted to read, and I automatically put it on my wish list. So thank you to the boy, I can't remember his name, I'm so sorry, of the school that he went to in Cheltenham, but thank you for that event, for what you did. You've encouraged me to buy this book, and that is We See Everything by William Sutcliffe. It's basically a dystopian novel where it's set in London, and is a time where the government are using drones basically to find people, and because they're basically flying cameras, the government see everything, and it's all to do with these two characters, how their lives intertwine, and trying to get away from this prying eyes of the government. And that's We See Everything. So there you go, guys. Those are all the books that I bought in the sales, and I was like, oh my god, I have bought more books in bulk than I have ever bought in my life. No joke. I got them all for a very decent price, but yeah, no joke. So what is my plan for 2020? Well, it's to do with what I've just done. I have got my to-be-read list upstairs. I realised, because all of I'm very, very strict about where my books go, the ordering that they go, all this stuff. But I realised everything had gotten jumbled up. So in order to try and relieve this, I have moved all the books that I have not read over to one specific bookcase. I have filled that bookcase, and now I've got all of these books to add on to it. So my plan for 2020 is, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm determined to do this, I am not allowing myself to buy a book for an entire year. Yeah, let that sink in. That's going to be hard. Oh god. I am allowing myself a 1 book leeway. I know that sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but this has to be a specific book. Let me explain. Now, there is a rumour, and I'm going to emphasise that word rumour, that the next Cormoran Strike book, written by J.K. Rowling, may be ready to publish. And if so, it would probably most likely be published around May, June time, which is my birthday. If, and only if, I'm really emphasising these words, the terms of the contract, as it were, of my challenge for 2020, if that one Cormoran Strike book does get published at any point in 2020, I am allowed to buy that book. But that is the only book I am allowed to buy in 2020. Now, Waterstones are probably going to be contacting me going, there's some unusual activity on your membership card because you haven't bought a book in it yet. Well, you know, as I'll just have to explain. I've got too many books. I'm going to continue to read what I want from my bookshelves. And everything's gotten completely jumbled up on those. So I'm just going to be picking them. Probably might do just as the order that they are on our shelves, just literally bulk take them off. But I'm also going to be incorporating these as well, these lovely books. But yeah, I'm going to carry on picking what I want to read when I want to read them, but I am not allowed to buy a book for a whole year. Let's see how I do with that. I'm determined to do it. I think it's going to be very hard. I have a feeling I'm going to be making quite a large wish list on Amazon throughout the course of the year. I can just see it now, just as I have done this year. But I want to do that. I want to have a clear out of my books as well. Send some stuff to charity and everything. But yeah, that's what's going to be happening in 2020. So I hope you guys are going to stick around and everything for it. I just want to take this opportunity to say, just as I do with all my review videos, but and everything, and my Christmas haul, thank you so much for every person who has watched a video, who has subscribed, who has left comments, who have given me book suggestions, video suggestions. You are all absolutely amazing. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I love all of you guys. You're wonderful. I never ask for people to subscribe because I kind of feel like if you want to subscribe, you would subscribe. So I'm not someone who looks for number of hits and number of comments or number of likes or number of subscribers. But if you are any of those people who have liked, commented, subscribed, given me any kind of suggestions, watched any of my videos, even if it's for like 30 seconds, thank you so much. I love you all, guys, and I hope you'll enjoy my channel in 2020. So yeah, so that is it. I'm going to do a separate video for my next book announcements because obviously this and my other videos I've done today are quite long, so that way you can just literally just click on that video to watch what my announcements are for the first books in 2020 will be. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and the books that I have bought, and I'll be seeing you, well, it'll be next year since today is New Year's Eve. I'll be seeing you in 2020. well, unless you watch the announcement video I'll be shooting as well, but I'm not actually publishing that till 2020, so I'm sounding like an idiot right now. But oh well, yeah, I don't care. Anyway, all right then, guys, bye.